He said he's coming.
Okay. All right, so then we'll wait a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so 6:59.
Tony gets here. Hello, Marshall.
All right, doing all right, you?
Good.
Yeah, I didn't talk to you after meeting today.
Oh,
Good.
No,
We have
I'm just, that thing you asked me to set up.
Who asked?
I just want to should. You don't.
Even I stand, turn it off three times, I don't. They would just replace something, failed guns. I was looking, they had.
Yeah, solar.
I think it was good.
Walking in the door, Bob.
Here.
Okay,
So,
you're good, buddy.
so yeah, I will talk to you.
Bob, Tony's here.
I'm just calling.
So we have a full board.
Looking out for you.
We approved.
No, yeah, we-
So I think
None of them. I just
we got so far,
wanted to
just, we have nobody, just call the world, and that is what happened.
All right, it is 7:01. This meeting is come to order. All right, so as everybody signed the sign-in sheet?
Yes.
All right, we have a confirmed quorum. There's actually 7 board members in attendance. 6 present here in this room and 1 online. That's Joshua Stillwell. I am ex officio at this point. So the first order of business that we're going to do, it's not in order of the agenda here, is the Pledge of Allegiance. Jacob, can you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So the next order of business is the election of officers. And for 3 of the positions. Hello, Mr. Horn? Can you sign in? Oh, sorry. All right, so the next order of business is the election of officers. We have 3 nominees for which there is no opposition. So if there is no objection, I would like to do a affirmation of their election just by a voice vote and a say of aye, unless there's any objection.
I move we confirm those 3.
Second.
Any objection to any of these? All those in favor, please say aye. Anybody opposed? That carries. All right, next is the election of chairman, and there are 2 candidates nominated, Robert Foss and Craig Simpson. So we are going to just simply have a vote. We'll go around to each board member and you state your preference. Starting with Josh Stillwell. Josh?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to support Robert Foss for chairman.
Okay. All right, next, Robert.
That's a little odd.
Report yourself.
Yep.
Mr. Harris,
I'm gonna abstain, just don't put your cans,
I want to abstain. Mr. Troxel,
I'm gonna vote for Bob.
okay. Bishop,
I'm gonna vote for Craig.
Craig? Okay. Mr. Harris?
Correct.
Okay. We have a 3-3 tie with 1 abstention. Would you like to cast a deciding vote, Mr. Harris?
Sure. I just don't know anything about the two candidates really.
Well, would you like,
Could you guys tell me, maybe some of your background, how long you've been on the board and stuff like that?
sure.
Robert Voss, I was currently sitting the vice chair position. Currently run with Company 4 here in town, career firefighter for 20 years in Montgomery County Fire Rescue, 30 years in the fire service. Live right here in town.
Craig Simpson, I'm with Shepherdstown. I've been with Shepherdstown since I was 15 years old, a Virginia member in 1979. I currently hold the position of president over there. I'm also been a firefighter in the Navy and all that. I'm actually really not running much anymore. And I've been, actually Bob and I both started on the board at the same exact time.
Yep.
So,
Not sure.
and I work in Loudoun County as a dispatcher.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just hope it's not anything personal. I'm gonna vote for Bob just based on those two things.
Okay. So it carries 4-3 in favor of Bob Foss, and he is the new chair. Bob, come on over.
You drink your water yet, Ellie, right?
No.
Okay. I didn't lick it or anything, so. All right. Next item of business is going to be the approval of the minutes from the June 15th, 2021 regular meeting. Everybody had a chance to look through them. Any questions, issues, concerns? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Next item of business is going to be the treasurer's report. Steve Harris and Bob Burner.
All right, Board Member Harris and I reviewed this month's report, earlier this afternoon. He's, as you know, your new treasurer. So we're bringing him up to speed on these things, and he'll be, keeping an eye on the numbers and the reporting, which we certainly appreciate. So on the front page, the financial summary, you can see we ended out, fiscal year 2021, with an underrun total of 15,846. That is combined in ESA and ambulance fee funds. On the year total, our forecast was all in full-time and part-time wages. We have under projected there, and we over projected in overtime. Also, there was a settlement earlier in the year that came out, part of which came out of the full-time wages, so that throws that number off a little bit from what we actually did and spent this year. The bank account balances are listed there. I don't think you probably want us to read all these numbers. I think the summary there is at the end of the year, we're 15,000 to the good.
Any questions on that? Good. Can I get a motion to accept the treasurer's report as read?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion, question? All in favor? Opposed? So carries. Chairman's report, welcome Jacob to the board. He's our new citizen representative, board member. All right. Chief Morgan, the JCFRA report.
Yeah, two things. The just of our meeting, most of our meeting was taken up with we have a proposed draft fire fee ordinance that we wrote up. We spent probably about an hour and a half going through each article, reviewing them, making comments, making changes. There's several in there that we're gonna come back to the next month and hash over and iron out. Once the association is done with that and we're all pleased with what we feel that's the best thing for the fire fee ordinance, then we're gonna send it out to the commission and probably this board and request a joint meeting again like we had back in sort of January, I guess when it was, to discuss the fire fee ordinance. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of months. I don't know if we can get ironed out this next meeting or not. We did a couple things, but that is in the works. And we hope that we do get good support from the commission and this board. And then the other thing that we talked about at length a little bit was, we learned that the county commission has hired a consulting firm to look at the feasibility, I guess, or of this group, of the ESA, to see if they're spending their money wisely or whatnot. I requested to get on the commission. Steve Stolliver did not quite understand my request, but then, we did talk by phone, and he explained to me what that was. And I explained to him what our concern was, the association is, that this was unbeknownst to any of us, and I don't know if the board even knew anything about it. I know Bob didn't know anything about it. The board, I don't know. But we would like for good transparency. We have had our field over the past 15 years with consulting firms because it's just a waste of money. Because the last consulting firm that they did, we did the exact same thing for free. All they did was put in a nice portfolio with color pictures and papers. And I'm not being facetious, I'm being very sincere about that. And they, same thing. So, number one, we felt it's a waste of money. Number two, we just kind of felt betrayed a little bit that we would like to know everything that's going on that's concerned with fire and EMS, because we can give a lot of input. It's hard to beat the man that had our own game. That's how we requested. Confer with us with a lot of things. Steve did send me a copy of the contract, so I don't know if, I'll ask Trish if she would like to elaborate more on that since you are, I'm picking you because you're.
That's okay. That's okay. So, we've just entered into a contract with an outside firm. One of the reasons, is to find operational efficiencies within the agency. Obviously, staffing's an issue. Unfortunately, the two, fire departments where staffing was pulled, we're just trying to make sure we're giving the best coverage to we had so many that's arguing and saying it was a bad idea. On the same token, we got so many people saying it should have been done long ago. So we're trying to figure out how to provide the best and most efficient service to the county in the most cost-efficient manner. And I mean, the agency is becoming one of our biggest budget items and, taking money from the general fund to be able to provide the service. So we're trying to figure out how to provide that service. It's not trying or attempting to exclude you all at all. It's starting with an outside viewpoint, looking into the data. And I'm not saying the consulting firm may very well call one. Some of you, we don't know right now. So they're doing their research and they're going to come back with a report. So once we get the report, then we can say, this is where we're at, this is what we're thinking, and this is where we're going.
Okay.
But we got to collect the data to start with. And we truly, we're accountable to taxpayers. So we're trying to make sure we're providing the best service, the best coverage on taxpayer dollars. So we have to be good stewards. We answer to the taxpayers. So it's nothing against excluding you all, but that's why we decided to enter into the contract with an outside.
And that's pretty much what, Commissioner Stolper told me, same thing, almost verbatim. And that's fine. But just again, just at least kind of give us a heads up, so to speak.
So we won't get the feeling that we're being, I don't want to say backdoor, but, you know, we've been trying to work for the past several years on this fire fee, and we're closer than we've ever been on this ordinance to get everything going on. And we want the commission to support it and work with us, but then we hear little things like this, it kind of gives us a real bad taste in the mouth.
Right, I get
But
it.
now that it's out, that's fine, and,
We have no idea what the report's gonna come back with.
Right.
And what it's gonna say. We're just waiting for them to go.
yeah, and I think Steve said that he didn't have a time frame, but more or less probably be like in the fall.
I think originally they committed to, just a couple months of
Okay.
getting the information.
All right, well, that's the only good thing that we talked about the most. Right? Thank you.
Director's report, Bob.
Yes, sir. This is my first time, so be gentle on me, okay? We started doing the video conferencing back when last April, I believe it was, when COVID became a thing. I think at this point, everybody in the world has started to enjoy some of the flexibility of that. And while I'm glad we're all back in the same room, we need to make a decision about whether we're going to continue allowing video conferencing as an option, and are we going to continue live streaming the meeting? My recommendation would be yes, it provides more, the live streaming provides open access to the public in real time. And the video conferencing certainly makes it more convenient for others who might not be able to physically be here to attend. As tonight, we have a board member, we have the attorney, and we have our operations commander who couldn't be here in person. So I just wanted to ask the board to make a decision on whether we continue that or not, and my suggestion would be to continue.
I have a motion from someone on the board to continue.
We want to bring that up in new business for the board.
You can, I believe you can do it.
It's an action, I think we can do an action item now, being that it was brought up under the director's.
That's, I was just bringing it up, that's fine.
Yeah,
I would like to set forth a motion that we continue live streaming all board meetings, that we allow the public to join in through the live stream, and any board member or operations or anybody within the county can join in. I think it's a great transparency. I think it's that no one is going back to in-person only. I think it's a wonderful thing.
My second.
any questions? Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No carries.
Next item is regarding the standing agenda here at the ESA. When the agenda comes, of course, Debbie puts it together, and sometimes there's some questions about where things go. And when I look at our agenda and I compare it to other agendas, it seems like we seem to have more lines and more spots, which maybe I just need clarification. But my suggestion would be that the board member requests, I'm not understanding with board member requests, board member comments, seems to me like those things would be either new business or old business. So one of the things that sort of we try and figure out is, okay, when the board member sends an email and says, I'd like to bring this up, where do we put that? There's four different, is it new? It could either be if it's something new, it could be a new business. We don't know where it goes. So that's number one. If the board would just reconsider that, do what you want, just a suggestion. And then the public comment, I don't understand why we've always had public comment at the end of the meeting. I know Commissioner Jackson, you're probably tired of hearing the complaints about how the commission moved it to the end of the meeting. So I don't mean to bring that up, but in our case, things go on the agenda. The agenda is posted before the meeting. If a member of the public or a member of the fire and rescue community has something to say that they want you to consider about that, they often aren't able to be heard until after the vote has been done. And I know from being on the other side of the table with Chief Morgan, there was a time that we came to tell the board that it was unnecessary to spend $25,000 on something that we could do for free, but public comment was at the end of the meeting. So all we could say after it was over is, yeah, you didn't need to do that.
So to your point, I think we brought this up a year ago or 2 years ago. I think we tried to move it to the beginning and the board voted it down, but it's certainly worth revisiting.
It just suggestions from where I sit, it's your meeting, you do.
And most of the other agendas I've seen, that is actually at the beginning of the meeting.
It used to be the commission, at the beginning of the region.
Like, I'd rather be in a positive direction where folks can come in and give the board things to consider before they vote, rather than being plugged in at the bottom to just be able to complain about how it was or wasn't voted. Seems logical to me, but
Commissioner Foss, could I speak for 1 second?
Of course.
As far as the first number one part of Bob's request, the board member requests and board member comments, I think that those should be taken off. If a board member has a request that they want to make at the board, they should put it on the agenda. And if a board member wants to comment about something that is not in response to something that's on the agenda, I think it would be best served as being an agenda item. I think that's safer to keep us within the appropriate parameters of the Open Meetings Act. That's just my thought on those two things.
Okay. I agree. Any other discussion on that? Can I get a motion for either or whether to move the board member requests and or comments to the either unfinished or new business, and or moving public comment to immediately following the pledge of allegiance?
I'll make a motion on the public comments so to get moved to the beginning.
Okay. Can I get a second? All right. Any questions on that or issues, concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so carries. How about the board member request? Any
Can I just
discussion?
say something?
Of course.
That's at the discretion of the chair as to where an item goes on the agenda.
Sure.
If a board member makes a request prior to the meeting, it's up to you to decide where to put it on the agenda.
Okay. All right. Any statements on that one, Nathan, additional?
Yeah, well, like I said, I would just get rid of it altogether. I would get rid of both of those items
Both of them,
altogether.
and if a board member has a comment, then it should be placed on the agenda for the public to know about said.
Yeah, it's the general concept of the Open Meetings Act that the board,
Right.
that the agenda reflect what you're going to talk about.
Got it.
Now, in the county commission, the board has reports and they report on the things that they've done over the past, month or 2 weeks or whatever.
Sure.
But that's what is expected. To have a section where you just bring up wholly new things that no one knows anything about is, it would be better served under the Open Meetings Act to just not do that and just have them place it on the agenda. Now, if something comes up, if there's someone who puts something on the agenda and the board members want to comment about it, then that, that's fine. But
Okay.
it's something that's noticed on the agenda.
All right, so Nathan, is it wrong to just eliminate board member requests and fill it in either old business or new business as we deem necessary?
Yeah, I would just eliminate both board member requests and board member comments.
Yeah.
And if the board members want to discuss something, they would just put it on the agenda.
Okay.
That's what I would do. But, you can do what you want.
I guess.
Do we need a motion for that, or can he as chair just decide to take them off?
I think he can take them off, really.
I think so too.
And then they would just
I
go
mean,
on.
the chair sets the agenda every week, so.
Direction of the chair.
Yep. Okay.
Hey, Chairman, I got a question. Is there a time frame? Like if we wanted to bring up something, like do we have to do like a 24-hour notification or do you know the time frame on that?
There is. So actually, when Debbie sends out the email ahead of time, we actually have a date and time that she wants that response or information back to her in order for her to put it on the agenda, so it's ready for the meeting. So if I,
the Wednesday.
Yeah, and actually, I think I have that. It's actually in our bylaws, where it says, yeah, it's the Wednesday prior to the meeting, close of business, so 1700 on the Wednesday prior to the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, what else you got, Bob?
I thought it was done. No, there's one more page. Let me go out of order here for just a second. The last bullet point there is the annual report for fiscal year 21, which just ended on June 30th. That is in development right now. I just wanted to mention to all the board members, if you have, most of you, I think, have seen in last year's annual report, but if you have suggestions and volunteers as well, Ross, if there's things you want to see in this year's annual report, a draft, let me know. Let's make that a report that really represents like what went down this year beyond COVID. I think I'll just put one big mask on the cover. And then the last thing is the breast cancer awareness shirts, which Debbie is managing that program. So I'm going to turn it over to her to explain that part.
It's on our Facebook page. It's also on our website, and I have it displayed here as well. And I do have flyers, so if any of you are interested, I can email these to you. And if you'd like to post them up, or I have them printed out as well. They're $15 each. No matter the sizes are small to 5X, and all the fund proceeds that we collect will go directly to the Breast Cancer Awareness of Cumberland Valley, which is an organization that supports all ongoing treatment for the surrounding region of those undergoing treatment here in our region area. I think that's about it. Cash or check, me out to JCESA, and we will sell them until they're all gone. And if we run out early, I'll place another order. And so far, they're going really well. We just got them in last week, and I think I've probably sold over 50 of them so far. So it's pretty good.
So only cash or check?
Cash or check. I do.
20th century.
I
What is that stuff? I don't even know what a check is.
Today I did just PayPal account.
Yes.
So if you're still interested, let me know and I'll send you our quick pay. Oh. So just let me know.
Anything else, Bob?
No, sir. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. Next item I had is board member request, my apologies. The only thing I had on there, and that was actually myself, was a revision to the bylaws. Last amended in March 15, 2016. Couple items, and I know Nathan, you have some comment on this one. You just need to update. Board should consist of now 7 members, voting members under governance. There should be, it said it should be 4. Bullet item number 4 should say 4 citizen members of the board. Ran into an issue on the very last page, and actually after Debbie and I sat and talked about it, under the line, or sorry, second last page where it says the subsection G, minutes. It's an unfinished statement. The minutes shall be assigned by the, and we actually, Debbie just showed me earlier, if you flip to the previous page, chairman or secretary, and shall be public record. So again, it's just a matter of just tweaking things, making sure everything is where it's supposed to be. The only other question Nathan I had is the quorum. Under the old subsection E, it says quorum 4 voting members. Are we still at 4? Or now that we have increased our number of persons on the board, does that move to 5? Or does it really matter at that point?
Stays at 4.
Okay, again, just making sure we don't need to adjust that.
Yeah, that would stay at 4. Here's the thing. Here's what happened in my review of this, and thankfully, my paralegal Charlotte did a lot of detective work on this issue. I think we're talking about this in early 2020. This went to the county commission, and the county commission approved the new bylaws in, I believe, March the 5th of 2020. If you'll recall, right at that time, there was the entire COVID thing arose. Remember COVID?
Yep.
And
What is that? What is this COVID speak of?
So right about that time, the entire COVID thing arose. The ESA had their next meeting, I believe it was on March the 17th. So the bylaws were signed on March the 4th. The commission's next meeting was March the 17th, but that was continued because of COVID. And as I recall, not very long after the JCC, the commission board meeting, approved the bylaws, I believe they told us to take our stuff and go home for 2 weeks. And we were all going to shut down for 2 weeks right in there somewhere. Anyway, somewhere in all of that, the bylaws that were signed by Jane Tab and there's another ESA document got misplaced. And so I don't know where they are, and nobody else has either, but they were approved. It's in the county commission meeting records. I will tell you that at that time, those were like the least of my worries. I don't recall ever working harder as a lawyer than I did over the next like 4 or 5 months there, because we kept trying to figure out what the law was. And as you know, the governor would say the law was one thing, and then his press secretary would say it was something else, and then the final written document that they issued would say it was a third thing. And we kept trying to figure all that out for the county, for all the economic things, for the health department, all that. And it was a real zoo. I remember frequently late at night, texting Stephanie Grove or Dr. Reedy or Gillian in the early hours of the next day, saying, what are we doing with this and what is this going on? So that whole thing slipped off my radar screen as far as the bylaws.
Okay.
I don't know where they got to, but we'll get them rounded up and get you all a copy over in the near future. And I think, if I recall, I cleared up the thing that you pointed out
Yep.
in the version that I did earlier. But anyway, we'll get it straightened out and get it over to you.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, next I have unfinished business, a progress report from Blue Ridge Mountain Volunteer Fire Company. I haven't heard anything from Chief Kogel since prior to last meeting, so I've got no update.
Mr. Chair, I did speak with the Assistant Chief Royce a week or so ago, and he gave me an update on their continued meetings with the architect, and they have a first draft, and then we're going back with some revisions, and that process was continuing to move along. The only remaining item there was the build out of the station, and he assures me that is continuing.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Not seeing any new business. Am I missing anything? Anybody? New business? Public comment. Yeah. Mike, you didn't check yes or no. Did you have anything? Marshall, I see you have checked yes.
I always do.
Yeah.
I had no comments until y'all were discussing, which might be why it's at the end. So I do know that the board member comments, the reason that was put out for public comment was because of the rigid structure of open meetings. We were trying years ago, we were trying to promote collaboration between those of us that care enough to sit our butts in these seats every month and the board who should collaborate with us. And so that was the point of that board member comment, was so that when I make a public comment, you could then make a legal rebuttal or response to that.
Okay.
So I think that's worthwhile. I would also suggest, if you look at the ESA's mission statement, which I know that's more of the operational mission statement, but it is worthwhile to the board as well, because you can't run fire and EMS in a us versus them. We've tried that. It fails. It doesn't work. We need that collaboration. That's essential for this system to work. we know it can work. It works every single day. And part of that is because in the field, we are collaborating 24/7. So we need that at the administrative level too. So my request would be that as the board considers how to tailor these meetings with a mostly new board, maybe not mostly new board, but at least some new board, new leadership of the board, consider how we might be able to build upon the collaboration aspect from the administrative side. So that's the only comment I have. The last comment I have would be, I would be interested under board member comments if board member Harris could provide a little bit of a bio of who he is and what he's gonna do. That's all.
Sure. All right, that's the only thing I'm showing for public comment. Since we do still have board member comments on that, if you would, I'd like to indulge us in a little bit about you.
Introduce yourself.
Good night, the bus, just me. So, I'm originally from, down South Alabama and, joined the Army, did 7 years there, came up here. I've been here for about 6 years now. So, you know, after the Army, now I work from home, and, I work for Raytheon. So I'm a recruiter for them, work in the human resources department. And then, yeah, it's pretty much, I mean, any specific questions you had or?
I'm not allowed to ask, sorry.
It's against the law. You know, anything you want, I'll tell you.
I'll introduce myself after. No, I appreciate it.
Well, I will just say, he was eager to get involved, so when I knew Elliot was going off, I'm like, hey, you want to apply for this position, so welcome aboard.
Yeah.
And where in the county do you live?
I live over in Ransom, right there at Shenandoah Springs.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been there the whole time, so love it here. Beats the heck out of Northern Virginia.
So Marshall, a little bit of comment and conversation, I think we could talk further about this. So, prior to this evening, I actually have sat down and created a couple items. And I like the fact that you brought up the mission statement. One of the items is a leader's intent, for the board. I did actually sit down and create a mission statement, a vision statement, and guiding principles. That I 100% feel, I think, across the board, Jefferson County as the fire rescue and or the ESA and or the boards should consider doing. A lot of the fire rescue organizations have that, and I think that is important, especially in today's days and age, because I don't know that everybody understands the direction that we should be heading. And maybe that's not the correct term for that, but again, it's something that we'll have to sit as a board and discuss. But it is something I've looked at because again, we have them at work. Director Kaiser, under his tutelage, actually created the mission statement that was in place prior to, what's that? Oh, was it, was Denise? Okay. All right. So even before that. So I definitely feel and believe business end of things, that is an extremely important direction to provide for everybody, from the board person to the most junior member of the fire company. So I 100% agree with you on that one. Again, have some stuff that I sat down and typed. Unfortunately, my printer stopped working, so I can print it out tonight. So, but yes, no, I'm on board with you, and I like the Any other board member comments?
So this I like. I guess this is all yearly. This is all the past year incident numbers and things like this.
And most of those are year to date, except for the ones that are specifically breaking down.
Right.
Year.
So I would ask, and I would hope that as we continue on a monthly basis, just a quick half a page. Here's how many incidents in the county, not getting into specifics, but kind of give us an idea of stations and what they're doing and what we're doing as an organization. Because at the end of the day, we're spending money to do this. I want to know what the citizens of Jefferson County, and because they always ask, they want to know, what are we spending our money on? It's nice to be able to say, well, you know what? Station 3 ran X number, Bakerton showed up on this many river rescues or whatever it is. It's a good thing so that people can see what their money's going to. Oh, and what people are doing on their volunteering, giving up their own time. And that's important for people to understand that this county has got people who do a lot of work for nothing.
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, they do a lot of work out of their own pocket, which is huge.
I started including those a few months ago, and I either said or I meant to say to the board at that time that I know this is entirely too much to digest, but I wanted to sort of throw everything out there and let you sort of give me feedback on what you want to see and, you know, what you like and what you don't like in there anymore, whatever, and we can kind of pare it down to what's useful. So, yeah, and I'll continue trying to work on that on my own.
Yeah, for me, just kind of what's gone on in the last month between board meetings, just so I can get an idea, and then this is good. I don't know if I need 6 pages.
Right. Oh, I'm fully aware.
But it's good, I mean, I like it.
Good. Anybody else? Good. Again, thank you, Elliot. Appreciate your running the helm there for a term, and hopefully I can keep up and follow in your footsteps and do what I can to take it from there.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Okay. All right, so can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Can I have a second? Any questions?